Hello, hello. Happy Thursday, August 13th, 2026. How is everybody? Well, Thursday mornings are usually a little less, Thursday afternoons, a little less attended right away, but here we are. Gabriel, happy Friday, as it is. It's my Friday. I love it. David, hello. I hope you are well. I am feeling marginally better today. I got a ton of sleep last night. Well, not a ton of sleep. I got good quality sleep last night. Woke up, at least the back problem is gone. That seems to have dissipated. Of course, in about 4 days, my Mac Mini is supposed to be shipping, which means I'm going to have to move that 4,000-pound monitor pretty soon. Anyway, let's see what's cooking. He has another one. Just like it. I'm gonna need if I like the Mac Mini setup, I'm probably gonna. But anyway, your access system was programmed wrong, so they need to go through 1,700 door alarms and redo everything. Thankfully, that's not your job. I remember I used to have to do an access system for a door card at one of my previous jobs, and it was complicated enough, but it wasn't as complicated as it needed to be with permissions and everything. I just never understood, why, basic features that it should have, it didn't have. I couldn't figure that out. Oh, well. Let's see. What's cooking today? I might make this a little bit short. I had a client stop in this afternoon. Shoot the breeze. Nice conversation. But consequently, I didn't quite get as much done as I wanted to. In preparation for the podcast this afternoon, we did get brand new product in today, a new brand, and it literally came in. I checked it in. I set a couple pieces out for the podcast to look at. I have not even opened them up. I have not touched this new product. It looks pretty great. So I hope it's as good as I remember it being. I know two other stores who do kind of carry this product, so it looks great. It really looks great, but I haven't had a chance. I mean, I've got to open up 19 different SKUs worth of, probably not 19, but I got to take them out of the wrap, and I got to be careful with them and all that stuff. So I got to get a little bit of the show ready and decide which of yesterday's pens, which I didn't get around to finishing the final flush and all that stuff in wipe down, which of those I'm going to show, because there's a lot, so I really don't want to show them all. I might just break it up into 2 weeks. I went through last night. I thought, you know what? I had decided in my head I wasn't going to keep any of the pilots. None of the pilots. I don't need them. But that Burgundy Sailor was really killer with the zoom nib. Got home, I realized I actually had that pen in a music nib, so I really probably don't need it in the zoom. And I thought for a second, well, maybe I could swap, because the zoom is pretty cool, but the music nib is cool too. So I like the two hardest to find nibs in the series in that vintage, and I don't need both. Although I could technically pull that nib and put it in something else, but that's a lot of work because those nibs are really pretty hard to get out. So I might be back to the olds. I might keep one of the pilots. I don't know. So I got to pull some of those pilots and platinums and stuff for the show. And zoom nibs are fun to use. I just like them because they're just so wet and juicy, and they're like a true double broad, really. And you don't get that on a Japanese nib very often. I mean, Platinum makes the Kosu nib, which is okay. but it's not like a zoom nib. But a music nib is stubbish, so it gives you directional line variation. So that's kind of nice. I mean, and how often, if you have a zoom nib, how often do you actually use any line variation other than the double broad? We'll just call it a double broad. Not usually very often. The platinum will probably cost $1,500 with new price increases. Yeah. Last I checked, I want to say like 3776s were going to be in the $400 range. I mean, at that price, like Sailor announced a new pen today, which is really pretty outstanding. It's a pretty cool looking pen. I mean, but it's set like $750 retail, and it's not a Rialo. So we'll see. I'll probably get it eventually, but I'm waiting on the Rialos to come in. I don't know that I have a tracking information on it yet. They look great though. They look really good. So we'll see. I gotta forgive me. I'm chewing on a cough drop. I'm like at 85% today, so I think that's good. All right. We're gonna try see if we can get this. We had this soaking for a day. Let's see if this comes out. I really would like it to come out because it's it's a 10-minute repair that takes 4 days to do. Then I can move on my life. But yeah, so we got a new brand today. I got 45 new colors of ink coming on Monday. So I was doing a little bit of reorganizing in the store. I'm really running out of room. I've got like I think three shelves left. In the maybe 4 in the store. And then after that, I have no idea where stuff's going. Starting over is really like starting over. Come on. No dice. Back into soak. All right. Actually, let's see if we can get this open today. Probably don't need to get this open until I can actually prove that I can actually repair this myself. But if we can get it open, then we'll be ready once the sacks I. There we go. Oh, so now this is interesting. So this sack is pliable. So is the problem with this portion? I was hoping we don't have to take this apart. Because I don't know how this comes apart. This has got to be threaded or something. Let's look on our test sample here. That's the key to this whole thing, is getting this off now. Goes all the way down. I bet it's sealed on there. If we can figure this out, we'll be like millionaires. Well, maybe not millionaires, but could be reverse threaded. Yeah. Or solvent welding in place. Yeah, that's probably more likely. More likely the result, right? This barrel is actually cracked. I suppose I could probably destroy this barrel for the betterment of society, but soak it in naphtha just in case it's glued on. Yeah, I need more naphtha actually. I heated that a little too much. Something is terribly wrong with this one. I don't think it's press fit because I'm pulling on this really awfully hard. So I'm going to eliminate that one, but all right. I need to get some more naphtha. So we're going to try that. But this sack is actually perfectly pliable. And if it's good, I don't necessarily want to have to go through that hassle. All right, well, that's one step in the right direction. I'll take that. Forgive my sniffling today. So I'll get some naphtha and then we'll start working on that. I got to work on this pen for sure. All right, which ones do we want to work on? This one's going to require a lot of work. Let's do this black and blue. That one. That one. And how about those guys? Pencil. That's the wrong size lead in there. It's 0.7, it looks like. Okay. Somebody polished it. Rust mark on the sack. Pink Dependence. Doing the raid. Thanks, buddy. What's cooking down in the south? I tuned into your stream for about like 30 seconds and then I realized it was time for lunch, so I missed pretty much all of the stream today. Olive, how you doing? I guess this pen wasn't restored. Hope you had a good time in DC. It was good to see you and Lisa again. Yeah, it was good to see you guys too. Your wife was busy as normal. It was fun to walk around. There's a lot of people though. Too many people. Good buying though. Good buying. Good to finally meet you both. Yeah. If I can just get over this cold, I think I'll be all right. Busy show, yeah. I mean, we were actually going to go and say goodbye to Scott Franklin and Audrey, and we kind of looked and we were like, yeah, I got the crud, that's for sure. I'm better. I'm like at 85% today, which is pretty good. But we were going to go say goodbye to Bank of Christoph, and we looked at each other and we're like, there's no way I can get there. So you know what? They're busy. They're not going to miss us. Not going to miss it. We'll send an email. You never made it into the main ballroom. Oh, that's interesting. Somebody put a neck sack on this Conway Stewart. Well, I ended up getting an appointment with the pilot Penn Doctor. And they're like, oh, we'll just come back in 15 minutes. And I thought to myself, there is no way I can get anywhere and back in 15 minutes. I'm just going to hang out here. And that was on Friday. I did have to laugh, though, because there was a table in the basement that was noticeably missing. The LaBouffe Sensa table was not occupied unless they came on Saturday or Sunday. I was hoping to be able to see the new wherever. Too bad they didn't make it. Yeah, such a shame. Darn. Hey, I got new glasses now, though, so like I would have been like incognito. Would have been fun playing like a wherever expert or something. It would have been hilarious. I'm just assuming they didn't show up, so which is on par. But good show otherwise. Good show. I think it was just 15 hours of driving and sitting in a car in the same position for too long. And they were there last year, but you don't think you saw them. Yeah. Elves of the Wood was there. Yeah, I think it was like the first time they were at the, gosh, what was it? The Baltimore show or the Philly show with Estabrook. He set up a banner and then like most of the show was either not there or had his back to the crowd because he was talking on the phone. That was the year he tried to explain to Lisa what an Estabrook was. That was hilarious. Nothing more. I wish we could have had that on film. Nothing more hilarious than that. I'm not the type that's ever going to use that. Don't you know who I am kind of line, but Lisa pulled it at that point. She goes, I'm sorry. I don't think you understand who I am. Yeah, little lady, let me tell you about Estabrook. Oh, it was so funny. It was so funny. Oh my God. And to this day, listening to her tell the story it's just funny. It's just, it's so much good humor. I don't think you know who we are. It was popcorn, that's for sure, man. That may be the only time I ever pulled out that line. Oh well. Little lady. All right, we got a couple Conway Stewarts here, 58s. I do want to check this nib. Hope it's good. We got this swapped at the show. It was yeah, I've had my eye on Estabrook.com though for like decades. Literally decades. No, I don't have Estabrook.com. Believe it or not, about 18 years ago, Lisa reached out to the owner and said, we'd like to buy the domain. And the owner at the time, and I forget the guy's name, it's easy enough to look up if you look up the domain, but I don't remember what. I think Lisa offered $500 for the domain. The guy wasn't doing anything with it. He had like a splash page on there with some Esther books on it. That was it. And he said, well, no, I couldn't sell it for less than, I don't know what the number was, $750, $1,000. And so Lisa said, okay. And she was going to buy it and give it to me as a present. And the guy, like, we agreed to the guy's terms, and then he just decided he wasn't going to sell it. And so every time it goes up for renewal, I've got an alert in my calendar. In the event that he doesn't renew it, I just have .net. I have Esterbrook.net because he bought it like before me. But I've had .net now for 22 years. Actually, October it'll be 22 years I've had it. So I'm pretty safe from anybody else trying to say that I don't have rights to use that. Yeah, just as good at this point. If you do a search for Esterbrook stuff, usually my site shows up. So, I forgot a pen today. Can you believe that? I have this growing collection of pens on the kitchen table, because I keep forgetting to bring them to work. So now there's 3 pens at home. I need a pen or a pencil. How about this pencil? Okay, we got to fix this pencil too. This pencil doesn't work. There we go. What is this? So we got Tempo. Blue, black. Well, this is going to be easy. 3, black and pearl. Short section. 58. That's actually 4. Green. Okay, so that one's got 58 on the nib. That one doesn't. Cracked iced. No Duro. And Red Hatch is the same as this nib, but it's very wide. Yeah, so maybe someday he'll not renew and I can scoop it up. All right, drop those in there. Such a cool color. I probably should have one of these in my collection someday. Got to bounce. All right, Mike. Thanks so much. Good to see you. Have a good rest of your day. Martin Patterson, we have your pen. J-bars are usually really pretty good. I really honestly can't believe Conway made such a flimsy lever for such a nice pen. The lever is just so flimsy. Yeah, this is a great design. One of several attributed as a cracked ice. Oh boy, these are hard to get open. All right, excuse me, I need to blow my nose. I'll be right back. All right. Clean this one up. Today was almost desk set today. I sold the desk set online. And then my client who came in the shop was looking for Schaefer's, vintage Schaefer's with broad nibs. I told him, well, not a super easy task. But I had another desk set. He was looking for a conical, but I happen to have a Triumph. Sorry, not Triumph. An inlaid nib with a broad nib on it. To tempt him. But I don't think he was convinced. So it was almost a double death set day. And I've kind of put a moratorium on desk set buying until I can actually sell a few more. I mean, I can make probably, I don't know how many more I can probably make, but until I can sell a few more, I'm not going to add to the pile. There was a disturbance in the forest. You can hear the nose blowing all the way to Maine. Yeah. I would say I'm looking forward to sleeping in tomorrow, but at least I got a doctor's appointment, so that ain't happening. If anything, we got to come in early tomorrow. Our normal mail carrier is on holiday, so everybody else who's taking her place is early. So we got to be here early anyway. Some places have sign up marking how many days off without an accident. You should have a sign counting off the days for desk set sales. I mean, it's probably, I think people like the idea. They like the concept of desk sets. But collecting them is like another matter altogether. I mean, even I don't have space for them. Unless somebody just bought a desk set. I don't know. We'll see. Nope. I don't need to give Lisa any further reason to deny me the ability to buy desk sets. Because I still want to collect Esterbrook. And I got one this week that was not on the list. Well, it's on the list, but I didn't have it. I'm now officially at 55%. You do like your desk set. Great. Yeah, you like your desk set, but, do you want like 3 more? I mean, if so, I can help you out. If not, you make my point. I thought for sure the rosewood wall set. One is enough. Your desk is tiny, yeah. I thought for sure the rosewood wall set would go. This one I think I'm going to knock out and try to reset. It actually didn't have a Duro nib in it when I bought it. And so the guy at the table, I'm missing a nib here, pulled one out of another pen and slammed it in there. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Maybe you need a bigger desk. I mean, let's solve the problem at its core here. And if the room's not big enough for a bigger desk, then we need a bigger room. And if the house is not big enough for a bigger room, then we need a bigger house. Just so I can sell more desk sets. All right. Those are pretty clean. I'm trying to work with you here, Andy. I'm a problem solver. It's what I do. I solve problems. A large house for sale for only $1. The only stipulation is you have to move the house. I remember when I was a kid, you could buy a castle in like Germany or something for like $1. They wanted people to to buy these old castles and old chateaus, but then you had to, they're historic monuments. You had to restore it in there according to their preservation codes. You just need the money for a bigger house. And see, now we're talking. You're talking my language. Yeah, moving a house is what, a 6-figure job, right? Easy. Yeah, you had to obey a bunch of regulations. Yeah. But you could live in a castle. Probably cost you millions. For all I know, they probably still do that. You get right on that after you finish off the cinnamon rolls. Yeah. You mean our economy is so good now, it should be pretty easy. Yeah. Ooh, I just got an offer on eBay. 14.3% off. An Esterbrook desk set that I don't have. For the low price of $42 plus $8.85 shipping. Actually, the shipping seems rather fair. Should be about a $20 desk set, though. 444R. Red with chain. The Queen Mother, Queen Elizabeth, bought her Scotland Castle estate on the coast for $100. 100 quid. Spent millions restoring it. Now, for me, I wouldn't do that. But if I could buy Richard Esterbrook's house, I don't know if it's still. It was huge. You do see one of the lavender sports on Fleabay for only $112.50 with lots of bids and still 4 days to go. Wow. Sometimes it's a bidding war. I'll never forget. I think it was when Jonathan Donahue was selling off some of his pens. And he had a number of relief Conway Stewart made relief 12s with price labels. And None of them ended at the same time. You just paid 34. You wonder if you should sell it? Hey, throw it up for $100. Triple your money. None of these auctions ended at the same time, so it was like, okay. So I ended up getting in this bidding war with, of all people, Gary Lair. Why he wanted a Conway Stewart Relief 12, I have no idea. In black, no less. Not a fancy color. It wasn't in the cracked ice. It wasn't in, these hatched patterns. It wasn't in blue, marble, black. Plain black with gold trim. Got in a bidding war. I won the thing. I paid probably $200, $300 for it. And 5 minutes later, another one goes up. Well, I had already spent my money. Nobody else bid on it. He got that one for like, I don't even know if he paid $100 for it. It really honked me off. And then last November, I was at the Ohio show, and I saw that pen, the pen, because Steve from the old FBH was kind of selling Gary's pens. And I said, hey, you're doing Gary's pens? He goes, yeah. I said, well, I know this pen. I know the history behind this pen. Because this was the consolation prize. I paid $300. He paid like $75. Of course, now the price was like $250 or something. It would have been fun to get it. Waiting for that Dayquil to kick in. Tried to take it as late as possible. I didn't want it to not be effective when podcast kicks in. All right. Those look good. These blue blacks are just so uncommon's maybe not the right word, but I would say not as common, but that's kind of means the same thing as uncommon. I wish it didn't have somebody's name on it, but I was watching an old AP podcast this morning. And I funny enough, talking about an auction at one of the shows where they had a plunger filler. Same as this guy here. I don't know what color it was, doesn't really matter. But they had a plunger filler, but they had a name engraved on it, and apparently, and I don't remember this at all. Apparently there was intense bidding in the room because of the name on the pen. And that can happen if it's somebody of significance, importance, somebody that you can, provenance that you can track down. In this case, it was none of the above. Except it was just such a funny engraving. If it were now, I would buy it. I would bid on it. But apparently I had the color and so I didn't buy it. But the name that was engraved on the pen. I got to write it out for you. Are you ready for this? This is the name that was on the pen. I know this is a family-friendly show. Seymour Butts, very close. A.S. Lycan. Oh no. I know, right? Right. Someone gets me. You have to buy that. I want a collection. That's what I want to do. I want a collection of the goofiest possible names engraved on pens. Now, along with that would have been the jotter that we saw at the Ohio show one year. That was engraved for Joe's. How old was the pen? It was 1959. 1959. It was this model. Pleasure filler. Esterbrook. There was a jotter at one show that was engraved. And the only reason, and it was a lot of jotter, it was a whole tray of jotters, and the only reason the bidding on this went nuts was because of the engraving on this one jotter was something like Joe's Whorehouse and Grill. Apparently they gave out jotters, made a great burger too, I guess. I don't know. But once they read that off, the bidding for that lot went through the roof. But how fun would that be? A little sub collection? Like, you start now. And you look for every funky spelled name that you can find. And you collect them and you put them in a separate place in your pen chest. A.S. Lycan. Lycan? Oh. Good times. I just don't, and I watch these podcasts and I kind of get these memories. I recall certain things. And usually I go, oh yeah, that's right. I was in the back of, Pendleton Brown's convertible and I almost ripped my pants and I remember that, and, we got a flat and we got towed and then we went like a quarter of a mile to the service station to get air for the replacement tire, replacement wheel, and we blew the spare. And the AAA guy who came from AAA was the same guy who changed the spare for me. Yelled at me, hilarious thing. I remember those things. I don't remember A.S. Lycan. All right, let's look at caps. I like the pastels because they're really pretty easy to see. the inside. Very easy. By the time of the stream, Brian's fallen asleep. Lisa's propped him up, standing beside. Yeah. Oof. See, and I don't want to put this in the ultrasonic because I see some translucency going on here. But holy wow, is there a lot of... A lot of muck going on here. So I'm keeping the pen. AS Lycan? I don't have it. I might be tempted to keep it if I had it. Joe's Whorehouse and Grill? Yeah, I'll probably keep that too. But, you know, don't have it. I don't remember who bought it. Because we're all sitting there. We're sitting there in the room. And Terry's up there. Terry Mayhorter and Ben Mayhorter's there kind of showing them off. And they said, well, and he says, well, they've got, you know, they're advertising jotters and they've got, you know, Fred's Radiator Service or, you know, Chicken Shop or whatever, you know, they got whatever names on. Someone's like, well, why don't you read some of them off? And the guy's going, you know, and so Ben's going through and he's reading them off and he gets to Joe's Whorehouse and Grill and the whole place just goes up in laughter. Is it usually the same people, these things? Typically, I mean, you know, it changes over time, right? But yeah, it's usually the same people. Although, you know, nowadays, the auctions are getting more and more modern and less vintage. Or you're seeing pseudo vintage pens. You know, early 2000. I mean, I hate to think like 2000 is considered, you know, a vintage pen at this point, but I guess it's 25 years old. So what do I know? That one's pretty clean. But yeah, it used to be pretty much the same. You know, the same cast of characters. And the same, you know, the same people would bid on the same thing. So, I mean, you knew. You know, if there was an Esterbrook in the auction that was interesting, I would bid on it. Everybody would know it. You know, if there was an Aiken Lambert that was interesting, I would bid on it. Everybody would know. If there was a Vacuumatic, it would be the same couple of people. And sometimes you knew enough not to step on anybody's toes, and it was kind of a gentleman's agreement. Like at one point there was Dan Reppert couldn't make the show one year. And there was something, he was sick, or he couldn't make it. He was in a hospital or something. I forget what the reason was, but there was something in the auction that he really wanted to have. And so he sent like was it his grandson or his nephew or something, grandnephew? And everybody knew it. Everybody knew Dan wanted this particular piece of Schaefer ephemera. whatever it was, and and the kid was young too. The kid was, I don't remember. I don't think he was 10. And he sat there and he held up the card, and he just held it up. And Cindy's like, "Do you just hold the card up, and when the auctioneer stops, you won the auction, because that's how that's going to go." And everybody was like, "Oh, well, that's for Dan." Okay, well, we're not bidding on that. But every once in a while, you get two people who got to have the same thing. It's the last piece for their collection or whatever, and just like eBay. And then it's like you get to a point where, well, one more bid is $5 more at this point. I was willing to pay X. What is $5 more now? It starts to get into interesting, what I would call auction theory. Is it better to hang out at the end and let the because sometimes I will bid on things because I don't know. I'll bid early, only because I'm not willing to go $150, $200 on the item. But if it only sells for 50, 75, maybe I'm interested, right? So I bid early. But at some point, you become the guy who bids at $100 and 120, and you've got somebody who's bidding at 110 and 130. So my auction theory is like, well, which one of those would I rather be? Would I rather be the early? I mean, the guy that tops out at 120. Bid early, and then people don't want to surpass what their limit is, or what. So it's interesting. It's interesting to think about. Good thing you're not a collector. You just use the pens. Collecting's fun, though. It's fun. I bought 5 pens at DC I will never ink up. Photographed 4 of them yesterday, actually. That looks good there. You couldn't afford to be a collector? Well, you don't have to be. I think we're going to go a little bit smaller on that one. Collecting is pretty fun in general. I used to collect video games until the market got messed up. James Brown, you've got to ink everything at least once. This is a little tight, but I think it'll be just fine. Actually, let me look and see. Maybe 15 might be a better choice for that guy. Let's do 15 just for a little bit easier. Well, that's the beauty of the fountain pen business, right? Different strokes for different folks. There's plenty to go around. And if we're all nice to each other, we can all get along and respect each other's opinions. And collecting preferences. We don't all have to have the same taste. And we don't all have to use our pens. Yeah, anytime you get a market that starts tripping on speculation, then I don't know. It gets kind of dicey, doesn't it? Vanishing Point Twilight. For the life of me, I will never, I don't know that I'll ever be able to figure that one out. I mean, it's a good looking pen, but how did that become $1,000 pen almost overnight? I would not be surprised if the Twilight is somewhat responsible for some of the recent pricing of current edition Vanishing Point, limited editions. People are willing to pay $1,000 for an old one. This one looks much prettier. That's speculation, of course. I don't know. All right, let's knock this nib out. I just don't like how it's sitting in there. I'm actually not certain it's actually the right nib. Are you talking about the VP that's teal to purple gradient? No, it's blue to red. Twilight. It's without question the most popular Vanishing Point limited edition in history. 2015, yeah, global limited edition. Thank you. I couldn't remember the exact year, but this is a nice looking nib on this. Yeah, I do regret selling the last one we had. And even then, the last one we had, I think we sold for $750 maybe. Which would be a steal now. The one that comes up for you is blue to purple. Yeah, it's called the Twilight. Is the one I'm talking about. Blue to purple. Is that the Decimo? Can't remember. I've kind of been out of the loop on Pilot for the last year and a half. Hopefully soon to be rectified. Very soon, hopefully. Had a few productive talks with our pilot rep in DC. I hope it comes to fruition. I wouldn't mind buying that new Vanishing Point Limited for myself. Oops. A lot of ink capacity going to be on these Conways. Big sack. It's long. Goes almost all the way down to the end of the barrel. This is a 28, I'm sorry, 28. Which is pretty identical. There actually is an Esterbrook relief in this plastic. It is tough to find, though. The VP Golden Journey is very nice looking. You dig it. Is that what it's called, the Golden Journey? I wonder if the pattern is random or if you have multiple pens next to each other, if the pattern is the same. Does anybody know? Excuse me. Nice looking group of pens here. Gary, how you doing? How's things down under? Or for you, right side up? What's the weather like in Melbourne today? Is it biking weather? I'm a little behind, but I am. I finally started the Queen stage of the Women's Tour de France. I am on stage 7. I started it last night, but I knew I didn't have enough time to finish it, so I stopped watching it because I didn't want to be stuck in the middle of the ascension of Ventoux, and I do know exciting stuff happens on Ventoux, but I really don't know much else. That is one of the climbs that is available in Zwift, and I rode that last week, and it is brutal. I can't imagine doing it in real life, but at least in real life you would have probably some awesome scenery to look at. Pog is doing the Vuelta. I know, right? When does that start? The 22nd? How much? So we've officially, for those you who are new here, we're officially moving into the cycling portion of the repair stream. How much of a blowout? That sounds character. How much of a blowout is the Vuelta going to be this year? Now, I think Wout van Aert's going to be in the race. Do we want to take bets? Want to take bets on how many stages Pogačar wins? 22nd. Okay, yep. I thought it was 22nd. Do we think it's going to be more or less than 6, which I think is which would be his record that he did in both the Giro and the Tour when he did the Giro Tour double? He took 6 in each. Let's do an over. You're into it. You're just studying. Let's do the over under. What do you think? More or less than 6? That's the first number, and then once you pick that, then what do you think the number is going to be? You know, because in the Tour they said he could have won 10. And he gave 2 away. And what did he win? 5 this year? I can't even remember. It seems like it was 6 months ago. So he could have had 7. You know, him telling Cavendish that he's never going to break Cavendish's record was a complete lie. I think everybody knew it. Everybody knew it. He's not going to break it this year. He's not going to break it next year, but he's going to break that record, and he's going to obliterate it. You'll think it'd come down to how his team goes and the strength of the other riders. You'll sit in the fence and go 6. 6 is a safe bet. Now, I haven't seen the course, but typically the Vuelta leans more towards climbers. I mean, you know, the sprinters are lucky if they get 2 stages. Really, I mean, let's be honest here, right? That's why you usually don't see sprinters go to the Vuelta. Nobody wants to suffer for 2 stages. Forget that. Wout van Aert will win Wout van Aert will be in 1 or 2 stages, and they'll be like sprint stages. They'll be flat stages. He'll get in the breakaway. End of story. But who's going to be the competition for the Pogue? Is Ayuso going to be there? He seems to be all talk and no substance. Remco, we just got to, I don't know if the Remco is going to be there. 6 mountain stages. He'll win every one of them. We got to stop talking about Remco like he's even a contender at any of this stuff, right? Reminds me of the days when we used to talk about, at least as an American, we would talk about Levi Leipheimer being the next great hope. And Lisa and I would just look at each other like, they got nothing else to talk about. This guy can't. I mean, okay, he won the Tour of California twice. Hang on, we're back. Hello. Oh, it's you. All right. My daughter is here early. But we used to talk about Levi Leipheimer, and he's like, I don't know if any of you remember this. But they'd be like, oh, well, let's follow Levi. Like, Levi's in the back of the peloton. He gets dropped by the peloton. Like, why are we following this dude? Like, good for you. I'm glad you're representing the United States. Not going to win ever. So let's just stop the mockery of this guy. Because we all know it. He's not going to win. He was good in an American field in the United States, but not in a world a world tour level. He just doesn't compete at the same level as all those other guys. I know. End of rant on Levi Leipheimer. I really wasn't expecting to get these done quite this quickly, I guess. Okay, so those are good. Well, let's look at the rest of this here. I need another tray now. That one for sure. Let's do all the lever fillers to get the easy stuff out of the way. I'm going to put that out there. I'm going to look at that. This one, the cap is super loose. Clip is loose. We'll do all the snorkels and touchdowns. We'll do those next week. Don't need to be messing with those right now. I'll just do these two. Get these. You're checking out a shop, and vintage pens do seem like a pretty good deal for a gold nib. Yeah, I mean, they are. Compared to what modern stuff is. I'm definitely going to heat this little cute little dork. This is like your size indie. Look how small this is. It's tiny. I mean, it's pastel pencil's bigger than this. And it's got a marked flexible nib. Speaking of ridiculous, Pilot VP pricing, the 2013 limited edition Maples listed online for $1449.80. What a dumb price, right? That is ridiculous. I think 2013 was the year the first time I became a pilot dealer was in 2013. Because they had just announced those. But I didn't get any for some reason. And the year before was the gray marble, and I managed to acquire those from another unofficial source. Oh, so this is interesting. So this is what, one of these things that you got to look out for. Whoever restored this pen before, and I use that term loosely, it didn't get rid of everything in the barrel. Look at all that junk in there. You don't know what they're called, but the nibs like the one on the Schaefer Slim Targa are beautiful. Yeah, they're call them inlaid nibs. If I'm really incredibly lucky, and fingers crossed, and I'm not gonna place a bet on this, but if I'm really incredibly lucky, I have a case of Schaefer Targas on their way to me. That is actually one of the pens that more stuff come out of it. Client that was in the shop this morning was looking at. I have a with the broad nib too. I've got an inlaid Schaefer.
I don't suppose you know the answer to this riddle. I can go across the hall, but exactly.
Well, I've been looking for these. I'm trying to get these Targas for a while, and every time I ask for them, what is that? UPS?
Yeah. No. FedEx? CBS, yeah.
Okay, just put it on the counter, please. Thank you. Every time I tell this person to send these pens, he sends me anything and everything other than the pens. And there's some beautiful, and I do mean beautiful. And there's also some Schaefer fashions in there too, which I not the same animal, but that era they made some really cool finishes. I think there is a really pretty turquoise fashion. It's outstanding. It's just so good. Like it's kind of outside of my collecting norm, but if I were able to get one for stupid cheap, I would keep it because it's just so pretty. Red ink in this orangish red Schaefer. Get out of town. This is just laziness. I hate this. There we go. It left that much sack in the back of the barrel. It's a real pretty pen, though. Look at this. Look at this coloring on this. Green veins on copper and brown. Great. It is a great color. It's a great color, right? The cap is maybe even more outstanding. Look at this. Cool cap band. It's really great. I was very happy when I saw that pen. This is a Wall Eversharp Deco Band. Not Deco Band. I'm sorry, Doric. Little small size. Faceted. And I love how the engraving, the name is vertically running down one of the facets. Is it for sale? How much would it be worth? Yeah, it's going to be for sale. How much? I don't know yet. Depends on how it writes. It's got a flexible nib, so. And it's the kind that is marked flexible on it. Any crystallization? None. I don't see any on it. None in the cap, none on the barrel end. None on the top. Not an adjustable. No, not an adjustable. Can't have everything in a small pen. I got an old Schaefer snorkel filler for free from a garage sale. Now I almost feel like trying to fix it. Yeah, well, repairing a snorkel's not difficult. It's just time consuming to do it right. And you do need, sometimes you do need, it helps to have a few special tools. All right. I think we're going to put sacks on these, and then I think I'm going to call it a day. That'll give me some time to get ready for the show. 16s maybe. But that'll fit a bigger sack than that, though. That one I'm going to stick with 16. This one I think we can go with 17. Yeah, snorkel, you definitely want to get... That'll be better. Make sure you got to replace the point holder gasket and the O-ring in addition to the sack. Don't cheap out. I've seen people try to do that. You know, the cost for all the parts is almost, you know, it's super cheap. You got it apart. Just do it. Apparently there used to be, I don't know who it was. I was never told who it was, but there used to be a well-known repair person that when he got, he or she, I don't know, the vast majority of repair technicians, at least at that time, were men. When they get a snorkel in for repair, they wouldn't always replace the O-ring or the point holder gasket, because then that way, if it fell down the road, they could charge for another service, which is ridiculous. Just do it all at once. It's all part of the service. You heard that gaskets are oversized and need to be sanded down. Is that correct? I don't sand mine down at all. Mine were made to the size of the original, and they kind of slot into place. All right. Well, Monday we will have a good selection of pens to test. So that'll be a good way to start the week. Oh, that is a short section nipple, isn't it? Holy cow, is that short? Might actually not be a snorkel. The nib does say SF1 in it. Okay, so it's a touchdown. It's probably a steel nib. So you don't have a point holder gasket, but you will have an O-ring in the barrel end. And actually a lot easier to repair than a snorkel. So you need a size 15 sack. And on that one, probably, if memory serves, you still use the small O-ring. Yeah. So it's a touchdown. It's not a snorkel. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I think I got one or two of them up on the website right now. Usually you find them in black or like there's a blue. That's pretty common. Green, black, blue, green. I can't remember if there's a burgundy too, maybe. David would know. They're nice. They can be nice writing pens. Typically, I don't think a lot of people like to deal with them because, as a steel nib pen and a touchdown, like, you wouldn't pay someone to restore it because the value is really close to what it costs to restore the pen. But if you can do it yourself, it's a perfect pen to start. I mean, it's essentially a sack repair with an O-ring that you have to replace in the barrel. And you don't need really hardly any special tools for any of it. I do recommend a rosin-based thread sealant around the threads on the section to the barrel. Do you know if it's possible to polish the pen body? The repair doesn't seem too bad. Yeah, I mean, you can polish it for sure. They're probably pretty rough. I mean, microgloss is probably only going to get you so far if it looks like it was dragged behind a car for 10 miles, micromesh pads, you can kind of sand it down and then buff it up. That'll work real well, or a buffing wheel, of course. But yeah, those will polish up real nice. It depends on how bad it is, I got room in this tray for these guys, so I just put them all in there. Let's put the Esterbrook on this end. Look at this. We'll look at that guy on Monday. It's not the worst thing you've ever seen. Ayuso is a starter. Oh, okay. Well, it could be interesting, right? On that one, size 15. 15. Size 15 sack. Latex. 6 would be like, would be that size. It would be size of a pencil lid. 15. Ayuso's a starter. I can't remember. Is Del Toro in there too? Yeah, we'll see. We'll have to see. It'll be interesting to see what UAE's team lineup is. I can't imagine 15. All right, good. 15 and probably a small O-ring. I'm guessing off the top of my head. Usually what I do is I start with small because there's very few that use a large. You get PFMs use a large, and first year fat touchdowns use a large, and pretty much everything else uses a small. But they're like, what are they? They're not much. But tell me somebody who's other than Pogacar that could actually win. I would be shocked, completely gobsmacked, if anybody else wins the Vuelta. And I'll wait for replies. Del Toro's not in it. Okay, well, good. I mean, it was cool to see him in the Tour, but the little brotherly love thing got old super quick. Like, okay, you give him one stage, but let's go. I mean, you're here to win. Win. Don't be playing around. The crowd wants to see you win, not you giving stages to other people. Just my 10 cents worth. So, all right, this is what we're going to start with on Monday. I'm going to cut out early here. I got some pens to kind of clean up and assemble and get things ready for the podcast, which will be, I'm guessing today, maybe 4:30-ish, 4:15, 4:30. We'll see, and then we'll go from there. So it should be. We got a lot to talk about. DC Pen Show. We got some adventures we did the weekend before the show. Stuff we picked up, new consignment stuff. So there's a lot of stuff cooking, and there we have it. Let me switch screens here. There we go. So for those of you going to tune into the podcast, we will see you in about an hour or so. For the rest of you, thank you very much for joining, for tuning in. I do appreciate it. Have a good rest of your afternoon. How long until the show starts? About probably an hour. Probably I would say an hour and 15 minutes. Hour and 15, Gary. The rest of you have a good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Be kind, be well, and we'll catch you on Monday. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye now.